For all the latest updates, subscribe to News 9.
Hello and welcome to News 9 Digital with me, Adarsh Vepachedu. On a daily basis, there is something new that we come to know about coronavirus. In the latest, I have a couple of very interesting questions. Are Indian women who have COVID-19 at a higher risk of death when compared to men? And is the biological advantage of greater protection that women usually have in most of the countries across the world somewhere missing for Indian women? In fact, to answer these very questions, a few researchers put their minds together and they have produced a research, and that is exactly what we'll be talking about in this brief interaction. We'll be talking about the first ever analysis of gender differentials when it comes to COVID-19 deaths right here in India. So who conducted this research? Well, it is the Institute of Economic Growth in the national capital, Delhi, the Institute of Health Management Research in Jaipur, and Harvard University in the United States. So when it comes to the data that they have sourced to answer the questions that we discussed initially, they have sourced data till about the 20th of May, when the total number of cases, COVID-19 cases in the country stood at 1,12,027, and there were about 3,433 deaths at a case fatality ratio of 3.1%. So up until the 20th of May, what did the researchers find? And what has the research indicated in a sense? Point number one, the research has clearly noted, and it is obvious, the number of infected men is higher. But when it comes to the relative mortality, this is something that is higher in women, and this is somehow contravention to the global trend, in the sense that across the world, more men die when it comes to women, when it comes to the relative mortality. But here in the country, here in India, it is somewhere opposite. 3.3% of all women who've contracted COVID-19 here in India have lost their lives, while opposed to 2.9% of all men who've contracted COVID-19 have lost their lives. So the numbers, once again, it is 3.3% of all women in India who've lost their lives, who've contracted COVID-19, and 2.9%, so that's 0.4% lesser when compared to women. 2.9% men who've contracted COVID-19 have lost their lives in the country. Now, this very difference of the mortality rate is in fact highest in the age group of 40 to 49 years. So in this age group, 3.2% women who've contracted COVID-19 have lost their lives, as opposed to 2.1% men who've lost their lives after they contracted COVID-19 in the age group of 40 and 49 years. When it comes to another interesting factor, age group 5 to 19, only female deaths have been reported. 0.6% is the number. Not a single male who has succumbed to COVID-19 in the age group of 5 to 19, whereas 0.6% of those women in the age group, of those girls in the age group of 5 to 19 have lost their lives. In fact, across the world, there have been several such analysis, several such research, especially in countries like United States, China and Italy, where trends have clearly indicated that the relative death rate is higher among males. And the reasons could be sex-based immunological differences due to the female hormones that women possess. A lower prevalence of smoking in women could be one of those reasons, and of course men developing comorbid conditions as they age, such as hypertension, and these are a few factors as to why across the world more men have lost their lives than women. So that brings us to a very pertinent question: why is it that more women in India are at risk of dying due to COVID-19 than men? Well, simple answer is social determinants. These are a few social cases or social pointers that go on to indicate, or that go into matter as to why the numbers are such in the country. It could be anywhere from access to healthcare to the general health and well-being, and even the nutrition status could be slightly different for men and women, which are generally a little less here in India for women than their male counterparts. And all of this could, in a sense, explain as to why there is a difference, and why here in India the mortality rate difference between men and women defies the global trend. So again, another important question that we must ask: what does this research really indicate, and what are its possible implications? Could it play a role in policy making in India in COVID times? Well, couple of inferences, couple of broad indicators that we must take from this research. At no point whatsoever should the Indian government think that women may be at an advantage in dealing with infections, especially COVID-19, because that is really haunting us at this point in time. When it comes to health and nutrition support programs, they should be continued with enhanced focus even during the pandemic situation. So we should not really have any kind of a bias when we treat patients. Both men and women should be treated equally importantly. At least that's what this research has indicated. But nowhere should you feel and consider that maybe women are less susceptible to death due to COVID-19 than men. So do not forget to share this information with your friends and close ones. And yes, do not forget once again to like, subscribe, and make sure you follow News9 on all our platforms: YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. This is Adarsh Vepachedu signing off.